Hello Stampers, welcome back. Today I want to show you a really beautiful card that I made with Waves of Inspiration and Oceanfront stamp set. It's a very stunning looking card, but it's actually quite simple. And I'm going to start from the bottom up to show you exactly what I did. So first off, I used a piece of pool party paper, 8.5 by 5.5, and you score it at 4.25 inches. You can fold it in half, take your bone folder, give it a nice sharp edge. All right, so that's the bottom layer. The next layer is Sahara sand. This is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I used the Stitched with Whimsy dies to make that fun, whimsical frame that kind of looks like sandpiper ran around the sand. And if you don't have this die set, you could take a marker and just make some little lines and dots around the edge. But this makes it so much faster when you have the Stitch with Whimsy's dies, and there's a lot of different shapes there, but this is the one that I used, which was the largest one. Then my next layer, I used the rectangular Stitched Framelits, and this is the second largest one here. This is what it looks like when they all layer. This is a great set to have. Once again, if you don't have that, you could just cut out white paper. And I do use a lot of dies in this card, but it's super cute. All right, so now that we're here on the white layer, I want to show you how I did that. I'm just going to move these other out of the way. And first off, now I'm using the Oceanfront stamp set, which I already showed you. And in fact, maybe I'll just leave it there. And I took this big square thing. I used Balmy Blue for the sky. I'm going to open it up and tap it on the stamp pad. Trying to get it into the video so you can see. Now sometimes when they're this big, it's easier if you just flip it over and tap it like that. Now this isn't intentionally not a solid die. It's kind of I guess a mottled watercolor look, and it's supposed to look like that. When I had my stamp club, one of my stampers was concerned that she had done it wrong, but that's how it's supposed to look, like it's darker here and lighter there. And so yeah, it's just the design of the stamp, and it's supposed to have kind of a watercolor effect. All right, then my next layer, I used Pool Party, which matches the background paper. And I'm going to just set it flat and tap it like I did with the other one. And this is going to be my water. This was my sky. This is the water. And I want to just slide it up so that there's not an air gap or a white gap. It looks like I did pretty good. And then last, I'm going to use Sahara sand, which matches my paper there. And this one is a little smaller, so I am just going to tap it on the stamp pad. Now this is kind of a skinny little stamp, and you see that it doesn't go all the way down like on my card. So what I did was I actually flipped it around, rotated it back and forth, and just built that layer down. So there is that. And down to the bottom. And so it kind of looks like sand dunes a little bit. And I want to just get a nice edge up there. So I'm going to do that there. Perfect. Okay, I'm happy with how that looks. That's the background. You could actually create a watercolor looking background if you used watercolor paper and watercolor markers, but This is so much faster, super cute. So that's the background. Then the next thing, this one was a sympathy card, but I decided I wanted to do a get well soon card. And so that's what I came up with. To do that, I took this die set, which I always forget the name. Let's see, it is called Stylish Shape Dies. I use it probably almost on every card, it feels like these days. And I took this die, I cut this out, then I stamped Get Well Soon, and I'm going to use actually basic gray. I used black there, but I'm going to use basic gray for this card because I think it looks better. So I'm just tapping it in my stamp pad, and I'm going to put it over to the left, trying to line up the top and the bottom, and hopefully it's in the center. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, yeah, I like that better than the black. It just looks a little softer, and it's going to look softer on my card. All righty, so there's that. Now, if you notice, I have a straight line over there, and so to do that, I took my die cutting machine. Let's see if I can zoom out a little. And I'm using the 1 and 2 plate. I'm going to put this on here. Actually, I think I'm going to go this way. Then I took my square. Oopsie. Where is it? I'm cutting out the one that's already cut. All right, so I took my square. You can see it still. And laid it like this. And I'm going to put this on top and run it through my machine. And so that gives you kind of a different shape, which is pretty fun. I just discovered that tonight. You could do that. And so there you go. Isn't that awesome? And both of these came out of the Stylish Shapes dies. That was the smallest square, although you could have used any size square. And the second largest one of these banner shapes. All right, so there we go. And I remember I said I'm working from the bottom up. Then next, I could have actually stamped the grass out of Oceanfront and fussy cut it out. But as I was looking at that, I thought, well, you know, I've got a really similar looking die here that I have from Honeybee Home. Honeybee, that's what it's called. Honeybee Blooms dies. And so that the grass came in this die set. And I thought, well, I'll just use that because it's a lot faster and it looks really good. But like I said, you could have just stamped it out of Oceanfront and fussy cut it. So I went ahead and did that in Old Olive, Garden Green, and Mossy Meadow. So this is the Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Garden Green. All right, so there's my next layer. And then the last thing I need to do is stamp the pelican, which is, I just love that. It's in the Waves of Inspiration. Of course, this wave is really beautiful too. You can check out my other video where I used that stamp set. But here I'm just focusing on the pelican. And I'm going to use gray granite to stamp him out, his outline, because I could have used like black, but that would have been too harsh. I wanted it to look a little subdued. So there, I'm just going to stamp him on my basic white cardstock. So there. Notice I have a little line, but it's really just not going to matter because we're going to cut it out. But before I do, I want to color him. And to do that, I'm going to use my stamping blends. And so of course this is where the magic begins. I used dark crumb cake to do the wood. I'll zoom back in a little. There we go. And I'm going to use, this has a brush tip and a fine tip. I'm going to use a brush tip and color the wood in. And I really love coloring with Stampin' blends because no matter your skill level, you can make some amazing looking cards with the Stampin' blends. There are our line of alcohol markers, and they're just beautiful. They're really nice for shading. The color is vivid, and I probably should be using my fine tip because I'm not doing a very good job there, am I? Alrighty, so let's try that. There we go. I'm just trying to bring, see, I think I want to make that a little bit flatter up. There we go. And when you color with these, they seem sort of darker at first, but then they just lighten as they dry. So I just want to shade this in a little darker over here. And really, in hindsight, I should have used my light crumb cake and then the dark crumb cake on the edges, but I guess I got too excited on the video and didn't do that, so I'm just going to color it a few more times with the dark crumb cake along the sides, and hopefully that'll give me the shading that I want. All right, let's just see what that looks like as it dries. In the meantime, I'm going to take my light gray granite, and I'm going to use the fine tip this time and color in my pelican. I want to leave his eye there so it's white. And so this is why I used the lighter color, so that it just sort of blends in a little. It's not quite what you would call a no-line watercolor, because to do that I would have used, I don't know what color I would have used, a lighter color for the outline, but this looks good. Get his little legs there. All right. So that looks good. I want to do his beak. And for that, I'm using Dark Daffodil Delight. And it's just that simple. Doesn't that look cute? I'm going to just come one more time in with the dark crumb cake. Like I said, I should have used light and then done the dark on the sides, but oh well. Nobody's perfect. And no card is perfect, but that's what's so awesome about it, because they're handmade cards and each one's going to look a little different, and it's all good. All right, so that's it with my Stampin' blends. And now I'm going to cut out the pelican. So here I'm bringing my machine back in, my mini Stampin' cutting and embossing machine. Ooh, hard to say. All right, I'm putting the pelican on. I've got my 1 plate and my 2 plate. I don't know if you can see that, but right here it's marked 1 and 2. And I'm going to put this on top of it, the die, and you put where there's a line, you put that down, because that's the cutting side. And line it up as best you can. All right, which is hard to do from this angle. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Put the plate on top. Push it until it engages and crank it through. And so did you hear that little noise? That's actually a perfectly normal sound. It's not breaking or anything like that. And you see my little mark there? Well, it's gone. When I cut it out, it disappeared. All right, then the last thing I need to do is I took some of this twine, came out of this Baker's Twine Essentials pack, and I took a glue dot, and I'm going to put that on the back, because if you see there, it's like rope or something. So I'm putting a glue dot on the back. There, I'm going to take my twine and just want to get the frayed ends. There we go. I'm going to put it on the glue dot to get it started, and then I'm going to wrap it around several times. Oopsie. And I'm just kind of going along the stamped image, and that looks pretty good to me. And then I'm going to stick it back to the glue dot back there, so that's sticking to it. Take my paper snips, cut it. You know, I'm going to give it a little tail. I'm going to give it one more glue dot just to make sure that it doesn't come loose, because that would be bad if it did. Just grab it with my scissors, and I'm going to just stick it right there. There we go. Perfect. All right, and then I lifted that pelican up on a dimensional. So let me grab my dimensional sheet, and I'm going to put one down here and one there, one up on the pelican. Hopefully this isn't too big. I have mini ones too, but I don't have them at my fingertips, so hopefully, oh, it does stick out a little, so I'm just going to take my scissors and trim it. That looks good. And then I'm going to just take some of this extra on the edge here, and there we go, to do that side, because a whole nother one on that side would be too large. All right, so then this is like a double stick or paper on both sides, and I'm going to peel the paper off the back. All right, but I'm not going to stick it on yet because it looks like I need to glue down my grass first. Alrighty, so let's do that. So now we're ready to assemble our card. And really, this is a pretty easy card. So I think what I did is I took my Mossy Meadow, and actually I think I just tucked it behind here like this. There, like that. All right, now I'm going to put some glue on there with my mono adhesive. I really don't want to get glue on my card, so I'm just going to hold it up. Put a little bit of glue on there. Am I not? There we go. So you can see what I'm doing. Not putting much because you don't want it oozing out. Just enough to hold it in place. Alrighty, so we're going to do that. I'm putting it right flush pretty much with the right side, but I want you to see the stitching. So you can see the stitching, but it's pretty far over. And I'm going to push my bottom grass down. All right, now the next layer is going to be this Get Well Soon, and I think I'll glue that one. Since the points are going to be sticking out, I'm not putting glue on the points. But I am going to put it right down here towards the bottom. There, like that. Looks good. Okay, good. Next I'm going to do my garden green grass. So this really gives it a three-dimensional look by putting the Mossy Meadow on the base of the card, and now this garden green is going to go up on the pelican pylon. So just once again, not a ton of glue because don't want it oozing. Just want enough to hold it in there, in place. And honestly, I should not have stuck it all the way over there because it's going to be in the air, but it's on the back so no one's going to see it. So there, I just want to off-center it from the bottom one. And yeah, once I should not have put glue there. I guess I wasn't thinking. And, oh, here's my last one right in front of my nose. So this is the garden green. I'm sorry, the old olive. And this time I'm just going to put it on the bottom part of the grass. But it's no worries that I put it on the top part up there because it'll dry and you'll never know that. All right, you know, and I actually did cut off. I cut off one of these, so let me do that. And I think I'll cut off this just so that it looks slightly different. And do I have glue down there still? I do. Alrighty. So, and now I just want to put it like right there in the middle. So they're kind of a different, because I cut it off, it's a little bit different length and it just gives it more interest. And then I'm just going to set this aside for a second and I'll put the Sahara sand base on the pool party base. I'm just going to put adhesive on the four corners. Could put glue as well if you wanted to, but just make sure that this opens the right way because it's really easy to glue them on backwards. I've done it many a time, as has my Stamp Club members. It's kind of funny. Anyway, alrighty, and this last one, you know, I'm going to use glue on this just because I don't want to press it down because I've got glue and it's kind of a little bit delicate with the dimensionals on it, so I don't want to damage the front in any way. Of course, the nice thing about glue is you can kind of wiggle it around till you're perfectly happy with it. And I did. And there it is. This one says get well soon. My husband asked me to make a special get well soon card, so I think this one is pretty nice. This other one was a sympathy card, which also is, I like it as well. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. If you liked my video, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.